Joseph Zimmerman. You guys are awfully young. Welcome. It's nice to meet you.
Sure you do that correctly.
Yep.
Let's take a pic of it to make sure I get the right language.
This is a
Did they
good
give
name.
me a
Joseph Colombo the Sixth.
an example?
They got it back.
You not go and pull it and just grab it off. Go and pull it, or you just grab off it. Okay.
Justin Croucher.
Just so you know,
Khalil R.
I'm gonna put
Jones.
this up here
Did I say that right?
so we can talk about that since the guy's here. We're gonna add
Nice to meet you, too.
compensation of public employee, so we don't have to talk about.
And Michael
this.
Kidd. Welcome. Congratulations. Holy mackerel. Three of these fine gentlemen are going to be new full-timers for the department, and 4 of them will be new part-timers for the department. So we're very happy to add them to our ranks. We have a very busy fire department, and we certainly could use the help, so this is all good. And this is gonna be your first big test, guys. Raise your right hand, and I'll say I, and then you repeat your name, and then repeat after me. I do hereby solemnly swear or affirm to uphold the Constitution of the United States of America,
of the United States of America,
the Constitution
the Constitution
of the State of Ohio,
of the State of Ohio,
and the charter and ordinances
and the charter ordinances
of the City of Streetsboro,
of the City of Streetsboro,
and that I will
and I will
perform the duties
perform the duties
of firefighter medic
of firefighter medic
for the City of Streetsboro Fire Department,
for the City of Streetsboro,
to which I have been appointed,
to which I have been appointed,
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations, gentlemen. Sign these and you can take them. You guys don't go too far, because I gotta have you sign the oath too. Sean will sign the oath with you, okay?
I just want to make sure a picture with all of them before everybody scatters.
Yeah. Guys, come down.
Group picture real quick.
Junior firefighter.
I brought mine first.
Wait, how old were you?
Tony still looks like a baby.
Okay, act like you like each other. You're gonna count on each other and work with each other for the rest of your.
I was doing it in 2004.
There you go.
Probably in class somewhere at Henry Deffer Intermediate.
All right, smile.
Hey, we might not win, but we'll put a hurt on it, okay? Give it a go.
The 30.
I'm 30. Makes me 30.
Now, listen.
The fire chief will have all those pictures if you guys want
Brother
to get
graduated.
them.
I was 94.
Okay.
Oh, no, actually, I'm gonna go get one thing.
Wait, Michael. Michael.
Kid.
You and Lamp. But you and Lamp haven't pulled. And Lamp was going on a
All right.
cruise or something.
Justin.
Dude,
Tristan.
I had to make a couple phone calls. Joe.
Zimmer.
I did my duties.
Jason.
get the day before. I thought it was like February 1st.
There, Marianne? I know.
You want me to change?
change this year?
You're not the 6th, huh? Just the 4th.
No, just the 4th.
Sounds good. Okay. I'll see you on Monday.
Now you're interrupting. I'll send it all over.
Isn't that how it is in our new council chambers? Isn't it behind? Isn't the office behind?
Second and
Oh.
Friday, Monday, Thursday, and Friday.
Gotcha.
Yes, I'm here at 5. That sounds good. I'm here at 5.
Turning around and looking at it.
That concludes our ceremony for the swearing in. I understand they've got stuff down at the fire department. If you folks want to meander down there and,
Weren't they trying to do 9 or
they
something?
want to be there, you're more than welcome to. You can sit through this long council meeting with us.
Should have just done 9 for the
You're
space.
more than welcome. So we'll give you all a chance if you want to get out there, go ahead and go before we get started, okay?
Unless we expand the district. City council. How would we do that if we expand?
Ahoy, matey.
Could we expand the whole award? Change to have like a 9-person city council? Can you imagine that? Can you imagine that? That'd be crazy.
One from each block, each neighborhood.
Each street in Julie's neighborhood. Yeah.
Mine's 1, Julie's is 1, I mean.
I thought about that today too. I'll have to ask her. So.
Okay, back.
I know. Yeah, I told you today.
Yeah, it's just the day.
All right, we ready?
Keep her on.
I'd like to call this regular finance meeting of Monday, December 30th, 2024 to order. Can you all please stand for an invocation and pledge of allegiance? We'll have Ms. McDaniel lead us in the invocation, please.
Let's bow our heads and pray together. Heavenly Father, thank you for today. Thank you for this year. Lord, as we celebrate the new year incoming, we thank you for all of the blessings you have shown us this past year, and we look forward to more blessings from you, Father, in 2025. I pray that you guide us tonight in our decision-making, help us all to communicate clearly and think clearly and use good judgment in all that we do here for the city of Streetsboro. It's in Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Mayor Baraska, please do the honors.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Bridget, can you please call roll?
Mr. Lombardo?
Here.
Mr. Hannon?
Here.
Mr. Mishniak?
Here.
Mr. Ring?
Here.
Ms. Glenn?
Here.
Mrs. McDaniel? Present. Ms. Wagner?
I'll entertain a motion to excuse Ms. Wagner.
So moved.
Second.
A first and a second to excuse Ms. Wagner. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, she is excused. Item 4, disposition of minutes. We have the Finance Committee meetings of October 28th, 2024, and November 25th, 2024, and the special Finance Committee meeting of December 16th, 2024.
Motion to accept as written.
A first and a second to accept as written. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, those minutes are disposed of. Item 5, monthly financial report. Mr. Matt Miller.
Thank you, new finance chair. This is the monthly report for month of November. We're looking to be around 92% on expenses and revenue. For this year, we were at about 85% for the general fund, and for all the expenses, it was about 68%. That's compared to our revenues, which are been 100% collected. For the general fund, we're at 111%, and that's just at the end of November. For the entire city, it's about 103% that we've collected. Compared to last year at this time, we were a couple ticks down especially overall revenue. We hadn't even reached 100%. So that was nice to see growth year over year. On the cash side, we did spend a little bit more than we made. Obviously, we see a lot of year-end purchasing and getting things in, so that's to be expected. But our cash balance was still pretty healthy at about 35 million across the funds. Last year at this time, it was 29.8. So we've definitely had some on the cash side. We've definitely had some growth there, recovering from large projects like the community center and city hall and things like that. And in regards to income tax, year over year, compared with the RETA collections, they keep about the same ratios between withholding, net profit, residential. They're all within 1% of each other, so it stays pretty consistent. But when they all grow, that they just maintain at the same ratio. So right now, versus last year, up about 710 versus the RETA collections at the end of November in 2023. So that was also nice to see. I also was taking a look at our Department of Taxation. This is when companies pay through the state, and so we get a net profit. That as well was up about 370,000 from what the state was remitting to us. December was down a little bit, but there's a myriad of factors that can play into that. There could have been 50 sick people at RETA processing returns. They just didn't get as many returns in, but I'll relay that when we go over the December financials. In regards to interest earnings, down a little bit, but still strong, and 93,000 between Star and Huntington. We're way over budget on interest earnings, which has really helped the city in regards to just extra revenue. We're not expecting as much next year, just because you see the Fed rate coming down, that has a trickle effect. But another big metric to look at is water receipts. And I was delightfully surprised just looking at what they've collected through the end of November. We're pretty much done with main collections. There's some maybe delinquencies in there. But on each and every category for the water department, they are above budget through the end of November. So everything we collect in December is just bonus. So for the year, the water is at about 4.3 million in revenue. We budgeted about almost 4.1. So the water department is almost $250,000 up on revenue collections, which is great to see. That definitely exceeds where we were at last year. They hadn't even reached all their revenues. So we also received the PO balances and the general fund carryover. Any questions on the November financials?
Council, any questions? Is the water revenue, is that related to the new meters?
Less loss.
No, less
Definitely helps
loss.
that.
And I mean, if usage goes up, obviously our revenues go with it. But I mean, it's not just charges for water. I mean, it's water connections, and there's miscellaneous, things that we also bill out. Everything is up in water. So pre-ending the year already hitting all of our revenues, because it's very important from a county perspective that certificate of estimated resources, we have to hit our revenue, what we say. If you don't hit your revenue, then that's not good on the county side, and so that's good to see on my end, cumulatively, that we've hit our revenues.
Thank you. Mary Ann, did you look like you were about to say something before I said?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Anyone else? Seeing none, we'll move on to, thank you, Mr. Miller. Move on to item 6, old business. On the agenda, there is none, but I'm going to add, rediscuss the T7686 amend building permit fees, since Mr. D'Agostino is here. So if you want to come up and we can discuss that now before it goes to the full council meeting. Do I need a motion to add that, or?
You guys are going to have to pardon
Hold
me.
on,
'Cause
Dan, give us 1 second.
Probably should, just for clarity.
I'll entertain a motion to add T7686 amend building permit fees under old business.
So moved.
Second.
First and a second to add that. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that is added. And Mr. D'Agostino, The floor is
Yeah,
yours.
every time I come in front of you guys, I don't know, I lose my voice. Must be that you scare me or something. I put some notes together to address some of the questions you might have. And if you'll give me a couple minutes, I'd like to read them and then open it up for any questions that you may have.
Perfect.
The main purpose of the building department is to ensure that homes, businesses, manufacturing facilities that are built, remodeled, or added on to are code compliant. The building department also works closely with the fire department to ensure the safety of those who live, work, and visit the city. In most cities, that is not the norm, but it's just the opposite. There's no interaction between the two departments. So I want to thank you guys because we keep letting each other know if we see violations on our inspections. The purpose of the proposed fee increases is to offset expenses of running the building department. Some of the fixed costs associated with running the building department include the inspector's time for review of residential plan submittals. These can be from homeowners, contractors, and companies selling to homeowners or business owners. Typically with homeowners because they lack the knowledge of permit applications and construction procedures. There can be as many as 3 or more attempts before an application can be approved and a permit issued. This also does apply on occasion to contractors and supply companies. To this, the Board of Building Standards in Columbus has mandated that we furnish a letter to the applicant stating the code section governing their application. This is required whether the review is approved or declined. Once the review letter is completed, it is sent to the permit tech for additional administrative procedures before it is electronically sent to the applicant. Other costs are inspectors' time for inspections, re-inspections, time meeting with contractors, developers, homeowners, and the public in general. There is a computer system and tablets used for inspections and review. There are 2 administrative assistants, permit techs, if you will. Some of their duties are answering the phones for the building department as well as the city hall phones. They also schedule inspections, handle contractor registrations, handle administrative duties as well as bookkeeping services to the permit applications, contractor registrations. Another expense is the vehicles that we use to do our inspections. Prior to earlier this year, we had 2 vehicles that were about 14 years old and they needed to be updated by new vehicles. We tried to get 2 Ford Ranger pickups that were more cost-effective than an SUV type of vehicle or an auto vehicle. We got one, and it looks like hopefully we'll get another one this coming year. Before the COVID period and the finalization of the Meadowview project in early 2024, the income that was derived from the permit fees and re-inspection fees was sufficient to keep the building department self-funding and not dependent on the general fund to make up the shortfall. Upon comparing the fee schedules of our surrounding communities, there are many differences in the services offered by each. Some charge a base fee for a permit and a charge for each and every inspection they do after. We don't. We issue a permit, and it doesn't matter how many times we go back to do the inspections. A lot of times, especially with commercial projects, they'll do it in phases. They've paid for one permit, a building permit, but for example, they may pour the foundation in stages or the slab that the floor is on in phases. So we have to accommodate them and go back there no matter how many times. The goal of the fee schedule adjustment is to create an operating budget that will not only make the building department self-funding, but one that operates on a net positive budget, but also one that is able to enforce the building codes as well as ensuring public safety. Thank you for that time, and I'll answer any questions, hopefully.
Thank you, Mr. D'Agostino. Chief, did you have something?
Yes, if you don't mind. I'd like to just echo what Dan has said. The cooperation between the building department and the fire department is super, thanks to Dan's leadership. If we see something out there, an addition or something being built, we notify the building department and they're on it right away, and vice versa. If they see a change in occupancy or something that's fire-related, they call us. And we deal with them almost on a daily basis. So they're definitely an asset to the city in making sure that the buildings are built properly. And not only that, but additions or renovations are correctly done. So I have to tip my hat to Dan. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Yeah, and Kevin, the fire inspector, and a couple of the other guys that do that, a lot of times they'll catch work that's being done, and they check, and there's no permits issued on that particular job, so it's beneficial to work with each other.
Mr. Ring.
Thank you, Mr. Hannon. Mr. D'Agostino, I think one of the concerns council had last time we discussed this was not the increases themselves. We understand they're necessary, especially if we're lower than we should be. I think there was particular increases that were questionable, specifically under the residential portion, item P, which is new home. We used to charge $200 a square foot, or $200 base fee and then 6 cents a square foot. We're now be charging $250 base fee and 50 cents a square foot. That's almost 1,000% increase in fee, and to me that seems extremely high. I mean, you go from paying essentially for a 4,000 square foot house, you go from paying $440 to paying $2,400. So what's the reasoning or the logic behind such a large increase?
If you remember, I mentioned the letters that we have to issue every time we review a permit application.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to recuperate that. It's a lot of time to look at these projects. The larger the project, the larger the home, the larger the square footage, it takes longer to review those plans. And I'm not trying to, stand here and be hard about things. If you guys feel that, if the council feels that the fees base prices are too high, we can negotiate something that's, a set fee, take it back to the $200, but leave the per square footage in there, because it.
Well, I don't mind a per square foot fee. That's not the concern. And the base fee going up $50 isn't really a concern either. To me, it's the increase from 6 cents a square foot to 50 cents a square foot. That's a very large increase.
Well, the 6 cents per square foot, the last time we raised the permit fees, we didn't do it across the board. And we had Meadowview going on. So with Ryan, with that volume, it was okay, it made up the difference, but we never adjusted that permit fee, that square footage cost, the last time we went for it. And it was, if you think about it, 6 cents. Give you an example, on a rough electric, they may do the basement and the first floor. We go out there, we do that, then they do the rest of the house, then maybe they do the garage. And if they call us 3 or 4 times to do, instead of the whole house at one inspection, we have to go there. We can't refuse to go there. So somebody's got to pick up that cost.
Sure, and for electrical, we charge 15 cents a square foot. This is just the general building permit. Like what in a general building permit cost us $1,300 or $1,400 for a 2,000 square foot house? What cost us that much just to issue a general building permit?
Well, again, you have to review the plans that are submitted, and sometimes it's 2 or 3 times we have to send them back and then redo them and re-review them and then send them back out. So what I'm trying to do is offset that cost.
Yeah, I'm just wondering the justification why 6 cents was okay forever, even before Meadowview, right? And then now 6 cents is.
Well, 6 cents was ridiculous.
What are surrounding communities, what are their fee structures
It
for general
varies.
building?
So, like the county, for example, which draws from a larger area than we do, they charge a base fee and then so much per inspection. It doesn't matter how many times they go. Each time they go, they charge. We're, with the 15 cents, might be up on the upper end of it. But
What
again,
about the 50 cents? That's the one I'm concerned about. The 15 cents I'm not too worried about. We're going from 5 to 15 cents there, 300% increase, but it's not as bad as a 900% increase from 6 cents to 50 cents. And I just want to understand the justification. Is it really costing us that much money that we have to go from 6 cents to 50 cents per square foot? And is any other city around on a general building permit charge 50 cents a square foot on top of their base fee? Or is that high for comparatively?
it's high.
So why do we need to be that high? Can we?
Yeah, we can negotiate it down.
Okay. Would it be more beneficial to charge per inspection as other places do?
No, I don't want to go there because unless it's a re-inspection, like if we go out and do an inspection and the contractor is not ready, we can't get in the house or the commercial building, or it's not up to code, we charge a re-inspection fee. But I don't want to start charging the people per time or, break it down because again, these aren't cut and dry. You go there, sometimes they can't pour because of weather. They can only pour so much of the driveway or the basement or the garage or whatever they're doing. So they pour in up to a phase, and then we come in and approve that phase, and they pour the couple days later, they'll pour the next section, and we have to go back out. So I'm just trying to cover the expenses.
Aren't those inspections covered under their particular building code, like the electrical, the plumbing, the HVAC? I'm really focused on the general building permit, and the only thing I gather from what you said, the only cost we have is plan review.
Well, no, we have plan review, and then it goes back to the permit techs, and they have quite a bit to do before it's sent back to the applicant. There's administrative procedures that have to be done, and I'd have to get both of them there to explain what they do. One handles the residential, one handles commercial. And it's just not a simple matter of us reviewing it and approving it or declining it. It still has to go to them. They have to take that letter and put it into a form, send it electronically to the applicant, and then it comes back to them. They put it in either Dave's task list or mine, depending on who did it. It's a lot of administrative work back and forth.
That costs us $2,000?
I told you, we can negotiate
Okay.
and make you happy.
I just don't want to gouge prospective new residents when we don't have to. I understand we want to be self-sufficient in the departments and have them fund themselves, which is a
If I'm not
fantastic thing.
self-sufficient, if I'm in the red, then Glenn gets upset
Oh,
with me.
I understand, and I want
And then-
I want all departments to be self-sufficient.
And then Matt gets mad at me, so, I'm just trying to be,
But I also want to be fair to our new prospective residents or business
okay,
owners.
I understand.
And not be charging, I don't want to make money off of them for these services. I would just want to recuperate our costs.
How about if I promise to look at it and cut it down as much as possible, and we'll get it ready for the next
If
week?
if you could just do a basic cost analysis on what it in reality costs you guys to do the general building permit work, and then figure out, all right, if for a 2,000 square foot house, do we really need to charge them 1,000? If that's the real cost, then I'm okay with it. But if it only costs us $300, then I think we need to revisit that number. And I think that was the concern of most of us up here, was that particular item. I know some of us didn't like the 5 to 15 cent increase, but I'm willing to live with that if that's, in a,
That's in the neighbor, that's. in
if
the-
it's relatively
Yes.
the same as other places. That's all I have for right now.
Thank you, Mr. Ray. Ms. McDaniel, did you?
Yeah, I just had a quick question. You referred to the plan review, and in this, proposal, it does have a separate plans exam fee of $150. Would that cover the plan review that has been referenced here a few times?
Well, all new homes have a cost, the $150 has been there for 4 or 5 years now.
Okay, I just wasn't sure if what you were referring to the plan review as part
No,
of
the plan review, let's say, for example, somebody wants to build a deck. Okay, they send in the plans, they have to make application for a building permit. It's all done electronically. They send in the plans, which a lot of times if it's a homeowner that's pulling the permit, they have no idea of what we need, but I get drawings where I have stick figures outside the house, the front of the house, the back of the house, everything but what we need. We have to go through it and look at it. What we look for is the species of the lumber, the dimensions of the lumber, the spans, the depth of the post holes. I mean, it's a ton of stuff that goes into each one of these. That's just for the deck. If it's a swimming pool, we're looking at the plumbing, the electrical, the specifications from the manufacturer of the swimming pool. And we do a lot of swimming pools, believe it or not, in this city. Generators, we have to look at the specs on them. Generator will take a permit for the panels that go on the roof, another electrical panel permit, and that all has to be reviewed. We have to go into the code books and check each one of their specifications and make sure they're up to what they're supposed to be. Furnace air conditioning, again, we have to check the manufacturers, check the specs. Trusses, when they come from the factory for these homes, they have to be engineered. We look at those drawings and make sure they meet what's in those code books.
But those are all things that are included in the other permits. When you get an electrical permit, those fees include those fees are for the electrical inspections. When you get a deck permit, those fees are for the deck inspections. We're talking about the general building permit. Hey, here's a permit that says you can build a house. You're still going to buy all these other permits for inspection of electrical, inspection of plumbing, inspection of HVAC. You still got to buy all these to pay for our inspections. But we're going to charge you 50 cents a square foot for just to say, yes, you can build a house here. And that's the, it's not the, sorry, it's not the inspections of the individual permits, the HVAC, yeah, because you still got to buy that for that and pay for that inspection. It's just that general building permit that we're trying to justify what the expense is and
I
what.
promise you I'll look at it and we
Yeah.
do it.
Please, that's, yeah. Sorry.
No, that's okay. I had one more question.
Sure.
I was just curious what other cities you compared.
Aurora, Twinsburg, Solon, Macedonia, and the county.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Lombardo?
Thank you, Mr. Hannon. Thank you for coming tonight to help us better understand some of this.
I'll have it ready as.
Yeah,
quick as
the only thing I want to add is I want to make sure it is fair, but I don't want to be Streetsboro where, oh, let's go to Streetsboro because their costs are below everyone else's. I don't want that either.
No,
So
they're
my
not.
opinion is, we don't have to be the cheapest because it's always been that way. I want it to be fair, but I don't want people to think they can come here because we're not charging anything for it either.
Well,
We have to, we have to take care of our expenses too. so.
And we
People
also-
Be like, why the heck is Streetsboro?
No, right, that's what I'm saying, like, it needs to be a fair cost to where you're recouping, but we're not also
Yeah.
taking on too much money, but I don't want people to think, it's cheap over there, I'm gonna go build a house. Well, we still offer good services here, and we still have to be comparable, so, thank you.
Ms. Glenn?
I just want to talk about, I do agree the general permit, that is a big increase, but even the other increases, that's on every mechanical, electrical, HVAC. We're tripling the cost of that per square foot. So if that's what other surrounding communities are charging, then I guess then that's fair. But I don't know, is that what they're charging? Or is that comparable to these?
Each one of them is different. A lot of these communities we check, they have a very large commercial base to draw into their general fund. And in some cases, it's even larger. We have a lot here, commercial taxation that comes into the general fund, but some of those cities are, believe it or not, they have as much, if not more. and their general fund is a little healthier.
Most of the cities you mentioned, except for Aurora, are not even in Portage County. I mean, did we check Kent or Ravenna or as far as fees?
Well, have you driven through Macedonia recently and
Oh.
look at what they have?
Yes.
Yeah, it's comparable.
So the fees are comparable or they're not, or is it hard to say?
These fees,
The 15 cents, going from 5 cents to 15 cents on all the mechanicals, is that comparable to?
Yes.
The other one? These other
Yes.
cities? Yes?
it's been too low for too long.
Mr. D'Agostino, my question to you is that I asked last meeting was, and I think you mentioned it when you started talking, you said that we haven't updated these in a while. I remember I think it was 2022, according to this, we did a lot of upgrades or updates to this to increase the cost to kind of come up to par. I'm just curious why something like that, like the new home build that has been mentioned previously, why that one wasn't updated at that time. If it was such a large increase in fees, why wasn't that one looked at first?
Because we had Meadowview going and what we were making from that
Yeah.
development really wasn't necessary to raise it. And if I would have raised it in the middle of their construction, they had, how do I justify to them that the homes they build after, now I'm going to
With
charge you.
different phases. They built it over like 10-year period of time, so I mean, times change. I mean, we could have. I know it's the same builder, but.
Right.
I think he's just saying the volume that
Yeah, I
Meadowview
get it.
had sustained the department, and there was no need to increase
Yeah.
them. But now there's a need because we don't have a Meadowview going in, and our building permit fees have sunk. Right, they've dropped, tanked because of that. So I understand the need for the increases.
Yeah, Mr. Miller?
Yeah, I'll put some numbers just behind what Dan is saying. I mean, in the 2020, the city brought in almost $1 million in permit fees. Right now, I'm about 311,000. So I'm down 2/3 in revenue. And so and I think one thing about Dan is he tries to get ahead of this stuff because he knows, because there's more to it just than numbers. We're not going to have a lot of Meadowviews going in.
Mm-hmm.
So what's going to happen? We're doing a lot of, people are building pools and pergolas and things like that. Well, as the city goes into a different era, we have to react to that era in order to run that department because his costs are up 38% since 2020. And I'm just giving stuff out of the 10141. I'm not even, breaking out different things like health insurance and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So we are trending downward on revenue and we're going up in expenses. So it's time to say, and I appreciate this from Dan and saying, hey, I want to try and be self-sufficient. He almost is at the moment. But again, he's going to start drawing from the general fund balance because, not from the general fund balance, but from like income tax revenue and things like that. He will not be self-sufficient.
I'm
that's
interested.
just the
I'm
numbers.
interested to understand how revenue is down so much, and expenses are up when there's way less work to be done.
Yes.
How are we up 38% when you don't have 100 or 50 homes to go inspect anymore? So how's the expense
Well,
up?
you still have a lot of permits being issued and inspections required. I'm here 3 days a week, Dave's here 3 days a week, and it's hell for us to keep this thing functioning as a full-time building department. And there's stuff, sometimes we take stuff home and do part of it at home with our tablets and then come back in just to keep up with it. So just because we don't have the homes, I still have swimming pools and solar panels,
You're
generators.
saying we have just as many permits, just not as expensive of permits.
Right.
Gotcha.
Mayor, I have one more thing before I call on you. Just out of curiosity in this, Mr. D'Agostino, for fences, you only have to have a permit over 6 feet?
Yes, because anything under 6 feet is not in the building code. We can only go by what's in the building code. Unless
when
you
I
make
put
it a codified ordinance that they put a fence up no matter what the size is,
Yeah.
then they have to have a permit
So like
for
when I
it.
put a fence up at my house and I paid for a permit, it was for nothing? A 6-foot fence?
You said you have a fence that you put
Yeah,
up?
well, I'm just curious, because like, I feel like a fence, a deck, something like that, you know, a fence is a popular item that people put up at their house.
Right.
And I feel like a lot of people are under the impression that they have to get a permit for that.
No, we won't issue it if it's not over 6 feet.
You need a
6
zoning certificate to put up a fence.
Okay, so I paid for a zoning certificate, not a building permit.
Correct.
Okay.
That's likely the case.
Okay,
We do nothing, and when people make an application for a permit for a
Yeah.
swimming pool, a fence, a deck, a shed, it has to
Yeah.
go through zoning first. If they don't
Okay.
approve it, it's a moot point.
yeah, okay. I just got confused on that, I apologize, but.
And by
that's
the
all-
way, we work well with John's department, making sure that if we see something that's a zoning violation, we let
Right.
them know. And they let us know on the permits. So you got a
Thank
lot
you.
of good cooperation in the city.
Yeah. Mayor Brasco?
I just wanted to say, I think that if you check with the surrounding communities around us, we're definitely on the lower end, okay? And the point I wanna make is that, like Dan said, we're not building metal anymore. And there will probably be, in this council's lifetime, there will probably not be ever, and I use that term strongly, there will never be another metal view in here. We might have some small places where there might be 15 or 20 homes or something like that, but what we are finding are the large, single-family homes. And Ms. Glenda mentioned it before, the difference in the cost between a 2 to 3 to 4,000 square foot home. Well, when you look at the grand scheme of things, a 4,000 square foot home, okay, at $450 a square foot, which is basically the going price for building a house right now, is about, what, $1.6 million? I don't think a $2,000 permit fee is something that is going to have a profound effect on folks. When they're gonna spend that much money on a house, and when you compare that with other communities, we're gonna be in the same ballpark, okay? As Dan said, we are trying to make this self-sufficient. It's one of the few cost centers that we have, in addition to the ambulance fund, in addition to the water fund, where we can actually make that department self-sufficient. And we are performing a service. The money that is budgeted in the 101 for the building department is there to have the building department exist. We have to have so many employees, we have to have clerks, we have to have inspectors, we have to have a CBO, those are there. But the folks that use that, the folks that use the building department should be the ones that that they're responsible for that money, to bring that money back in. And, these guys go out, they inspect decks, they inspect, remodels, when people do decide to get a water heater replaced, they inspect the water heater, they inspect pools. Our workload has not decreased substantially, but the top end of the workload is no longer there, okay? The building permits themselves are no longer there, they're not, I think we built, 17 houses last year?
Yeah.
We built 17 homes last year. The last year Meadow was here, we built 37 in Meadowview alone, along with the other ones. Now, you're talking a 60% decrease in the amount of homes that we built. That has a profound effect on the operating budget. When we do a deck, there is a plan review fee, because these guys do have to do it in their off time. But the things that we discover and the things that we find by having the plan review, be blunt, it probably saved lives. There are people that put up their own deck before they decide to get a plan review, and they just nail it to the side of the house. They don't put it on footers. They don't use the proper stuff to support it, and this is all the things that these guys find. So it is imperative that we have the ability, okay, to charge an adequate amount of money for these folks to do these things. And, you know, the 50 cents, I'll give it to you, it might be a little, but considering it hadn't been raised for so long, and if I remember right, we went through about 20% inflation over the last couple of years, so everybody's costs have risen, including ours. And, you know, for us to be able to recoup this without putting a burden on the people that are utilizing these services, that's what's important to me, and we're not burdening them. If they go and they try to have the same thing done somewhere else, they're gonna get charged the same amount, if not more. And I challenge you, call Hudson, call Aurora, call Twinsburg, and find out what they charge.
Thank you, Mayor.
Well, also, on that note, the average permit fee that was for the building permits in Meadowview was probably between $2,500 and $3,500, somewhere in that neighborhood, depending on the house. Brian said nothing.
For all the permits?
That's what the total permit fee would be.
For the electrical, for
Yeah.
the HVAC, right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
yeah, but
averaged-
I'm talking about one permit being $2,500.
Well, these, like Mayor Braska said, if you're building $1 million to $2 million houses, which we got them going up, they're not gonna complain about the permit fee. Trust me.
Ms. McDaniel?
Thank you. I don't want to belabor this because it sounds like you're going to make some adjustments and present, and I think that'll be very helpful. I did do the math just now. I don't know if my mic's on, I'm sorry. I did the math for Twinsburg, Solon, and Macedonia for a 3,000 square foot home. With what we are being asked to approve here, it would be about $1,500 on top of the that's total, $1,500 for the general building permit for a 3,000 square foot home. According to Twinsburg's numbers, they would be $875. Solon would be $650, and Macedonia would be $900 for a 3,000 square foot home. So it does sound like we're a little high. So if you can shave off something there where we could be a little more in line with those communities that you compared us to, I think that would be really great.
I think you need to check all the add-ins on that.
I'm
because
looking
that-
at Solon
that is-
right now,
That's
and,
just extremely low.
well, there aren't any add-ins that I can find, but maybe just double check and compare. It
And,
looks like we're quite high.
some of these communities are in the process of raising their fees.
Okay, well, if we're comparing right now, and if
Okay.
you compared, it seems that we're a little bit above what those communities are charging. So if we could just look into it, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Definitely don't want to, I'll get to you in a second,
That's
Ms.
fine.
Glenn. But since this is on for second reading, we do have time at the next meeting, obviously, to discuss it a little bit more, instead of going around and around tonight. But, Ms. Glenn?
Thank you. Would it be possible for you to get us some numbers from these other communities so we could look at them? So we can see like, yes, this is what they're
It
charging?
won't be tonight.
No, well, not tonight. I mean, like next time.
Yeah, I'll get them for you.
Okay, because, Lisa's trying to do some calculations, maybe she's missing
I'll let
something.
Bridget know when I have them, and she can contact
Okay,
you guys.
all right, thank you.
Anything else, Mr. D'Agostino? We'll see you January 13th. We'll discuss it for third reading.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Pavlik?
So what are we going to do with this? Are we going to leave it on tonight, just not read it, or
No, we'll read it.
amend it?
We'll read it, because we can amend it before the third reading if we need.
Okay, just want to make sure.
I forget, we read it last time, right? It was on for
Yeah.
first. Okay. Yeah, so I'll just read it, or Justin, read it for second reading and make changes next meeting. All right, thank you. Item 7, new business. I'll entertain a motion to recess into executive session to discuss pending litigation and compensation of a public employee.
So moved.
Second.
Well, first and a second, roll call, please.
Ms. Glenn?
Yes.
Mr. Ring?
Yes.
Mrs. McDaniel?
Yes.
Mr. Lombardo?
Yes.
Mr. Michigan?
Yes.
Mr. Hannan?
Yes. We're in executive
We're in
session.
executive session.
That was one subject.
hold on.
All right, let's start flying through this. I'll entertain a motion to reconvene from executive session.
So moved.
Second.
First and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, we're back into our finance meeting. Item C, T7698, authorized contract with ADP for payroll services. Mr. Matt Miller?
Hi, yes, this is up for renewal. Last time we renewed this was in 2023, and we did a 3-year contract. This is what our software that handles all of our payroll. I spoke with Mr. Knott, and he approached us to do a 5-year, which I was all for to lock in. So it is a pretty low raise. I think it goes 0, 1, then 0, then 1, then 0. So very, very minimal cost raise for ADP, and this would lock us in for 5 years. I don't have any intention on changing payroll services for the city.
Any questions?
If there's no further questions, I'll make a motion to move this to tonight's full council.
Second.
First and a second to move this to tonight's full council. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that is moved. Item D, T7699, approved contract with ANS Animal Control. Chief Wayne?
This is an annual contract. We've been, from the records I could find back to previous chiefs, looks like we've been with ANS since about 2014. They handle everything that we need animal-wise that the dog warden does not. Kind of take the gray area and things that they don't do that we still need handled. They've been really helpful with us, especially helpful with the death on State Route 303 where we had, I believe, a dozen dogs that were in that house that they ended up coming out and trying to catch and wrangle those. Excuse me. Their price did go up a little bit this year. Unfortunately, it's like everything else. All the prices are going up on everything.
I was just curious if we actually do get close to the call amount per month.
You know, sometimes we do and sometimes we don't. There's like no rhyme or reason to it. It's kind of the way of our world. We'll have months where we see them 3 times. We'll have months where we see them up to 10 times.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes we are calling them out to try, to come get a dog because it'll be, midnight and it's 9 degrees outside and all the dog warden has is an outside kennel with a dog house, which that'd probably be okay maybe for a husky, as I mentioned. But, I mean, you can't put a 20-pound dog outside overnight in a kennel like that.
Yeah.
And that tends to be when we have stuff happen is when there's nobody around and it's off hours. So, but sometimes they'll come out and as they're showing up, we're finding the owner because we're pretty heavy with the social media trying to push out, to see if we can find the owners before we send them to the
Yeah.
dog warden or to the, animal control.
Thank you, Chief. Mr. Mishak?
There's just they're charging us for boarding, $25 a day, and then $35 for viscous dogs. So those dogs with like slip on them.
Yeah.
They're really slippery if they're covered in oil.
I
No.
assume those are vicious dogs, right?
yes.
So we probably want to correct that. I just don't want to get grilled like $35 for a greasy dog. And then, are these the people that came out to the house where the lady passed away and they had all those giant dogs?
The initial, they came out and
Yeah.
took some, and
Yeah.
that was kind of an all hands on deck because that overwhelmed everybody.
Yeah, that was
Nobody had
worth every penny.
nobody had the resources for that, but they'll come out and do all kinds of stuff for us, and it's
Yeah.
there's nothing that makes people more upset than us not being able to catch a loose dog, especially wanting down 43 or 14 or something like that. That people may not care if there's a pedestrian walking on the side of a road with no sidewalk, but they get really upset if there's a dog running loose on the roads. They really want those dogs caught and safe, so.
And then the last line, removal, disposal of sick or injured wildlife. It's $25 for anything under 25 pounds, and then $3 a pound.
$3 a pound. What if you have a 600-pound deer?
Well, I'm just wondering if.
Well, they don't come out for the deer. No, they've come out for, we've had them come out for like a potentially rabid raccoon or distemper. Just because we don't have the access to having the resources to come out, and it's not something you can just leave.
Who does our deer service? Or?
Service department does.
Okay, so they're not gonna grab a deer that weighs 200 pounds and bill us.
No, we actually, we have a list for deer kill. If, somebody hits it with a car and they don't want it,
Yeah.
we have a few people in town that we can call and they'll come get it.
Connoisseurs, we call it. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah,
Okay.
so they'll come out and do that, but deer, if it's a carcass, the service department's
Service,
coming to get
okay.
it.
So this
Yeah.
is just like something that's injured and they gotta come in?
Yeah, just for the smaller, like I said, I think we had one raccoon, maybe somebody thought that had distemper, and maybe possibly a rabid raccoon that a resident had called out for, and raccoon actually wasn't sick, it just gotten disturbed out of its tree.
Very good. Thank you, that's all I had.
Any other questions? Seeing none.
There's no further questions. I'll make a motion to move this to tonight's full council.
First and second to move to tonight's full council. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that is moved. Item E, T7700, accept Bureau of Workers' Compensation grant. Mr. Bill Miller.
Yeah, I worked with Sean on this. We needed a lift gate for the new F-250 that we bought. We were gonna buy it anyway, but there ended up being a grant out there. So this is just confirming and getting the grant. So, saved us money.
There's no further questions. I'll make a motion to move this to tonight's full council.
Second?
I have a first and a second to move to tonight's full council. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that is moved. Item F, T7701, contract with Teese Brothers Fence for fencing at City Center. Mr. Checkeye.
Thank you, Mr. Hannon. The city solicited 3 quotes to put fence along the north part of the city center property and along some of our spray pad equipment. Not all of it, but around the electrical box and then around one of the boxes that are nearest to the splash pad. So solicited 3 of those quotes. Teese actually, Chuck Teese had met me out there back in October, and then multiple other times as the scope of the project expanded. So we are recommending to move forward with contracting with Teese Brothers Fence to install the fences at City Center.
Any questions? Ms. Glenn?
One question I have on these 3 different quotes is that the lineal footage is different on every single one of them. Do you know why that would be?
Well, they come out to about the same. So we have an issue with how we're going to take one of the turns where there's trees. I'm trying not to take out the trees. So it's going to be kind of directed in the field as to where exactly it goes at a certain point. It's hard to explain without showing you a map, but we own a lot of property that kind of V's out towards Russell. But along there's a resident with a bunch of trees. So the linear footage when we got it quoted was slightly different, but overall it's kind of the same.
So the 750 lineal feet that's on the Teese, that would be accurate number then?
Yes.
That would be more accurate than
Correct.
the other 2?
Mm-hmm.
And then it looks like it says, it's hard to read here, but it looks like this says 6-foot-high treated board-on-board fence, whereas the other ones say high shadow box wood fence. Actually, the high goes with the height there.
Correct, yes. Ms. McDaniel actually caught that as well. So Teese refers to it as board on board because it's the same amount of material, whether you have it in a linear line or whether you have it alternating. But we will have it alternating.
It'll be shadow box then?
Yeah, correct, yep.
Okay. Okay, that's all for
Any
me.
other questions? There's no further questions. I make a motion to move this to tonight's full council.
Second.
First and second to move to tonight's full council. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that is moved. Item G, T7702, authorize 2% increases in employee health insurance contributions. Mayor Brosco.
As everyone is well aware, health insurance costs have skyrocketed. They now represent 20% of our, about 20% of our general fund, and we have been pursuing it with the collective bargaining unit, and we want to see an increase in the employee contribution, 2% this year, 2% next year, and 2% the following year.
The final year is 1%.
Final year is 1%.
Because that's the cap the state puts on.
And we have not met with a lot of resistance to it. We provide a platinum health care plan, and it does really cost the city a lot of money. And when, in fact, the ASME negotiator, he couldn't believe that we offered the plan we did, and we felt that it was only fair that with our costs going up, they were, what was our last year, 15%? Wasn't it 15% last year?
It was roughly, roughly about
right around
15%, 15, 18.
So we felt the need that we had to pass that along to the, a very small portion of it along to the employees. And so we're asking to, and this would be on the non-bargaining unit employees, so basically the staff. Anybody that's not in a bargaining unit would be covered by this.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Ring?
Just to fully understand what Mr. Knott said. So we're capped at 20%, right? So that's why in the last year, Plan C and D still go up 2%, but Plan A only goes up to 1%.
Right.
Okay, that makes sense.
Any discussion on this item?
There's no further discussion. I'll make a motion to move this to tonight's full council.
Second. I have a first and a second to move to tonight's full council. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that is moved. Item H, T7706, amend 2024-162 pay ordinance to amend pay range for administrative assistant to the police department. Ms. Lockhart-Reese.
Yes, this is just to correct a clerical error on the Exhibit A that was presented during the last ordinance. It's just, again, a clerical error.
Thank you. Any questions?
If there's no further discussion, I'll make a motion to move this to tonight's full council.
Second.
I have a first and a second to move to tonight's full council. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that is moved. Item I, T7704, contract with Train for two 3-year service contracts for the community center. Mr. Meidinger.
Thank you. In your package, there should be 2 separate contracts. One is for a scheduled service agreement, and the other one is for connecting buildings service agreement. The scheduled service agreement outlines how many times they'll come out per year to service the HVAC systems at the community center. The second one is connecting buildings, which will allow us to have more access to the system from a computer side, be able to do online scheduling, possibly fixing things or adjusting things from a phone or tablet or something like that while we're away. And it also gives Train the ability to help us problem shoot any problems that are happening with the system as the system is going along its lifespan. And since these are somewhat large agreements, we brought this to council for their consideration.
Any questions? I'm assuming that we use the same company, right, for other things, right?
Train does us and the fire station.
No questions?
If there's no further discussion, I'll make a motion to move this to tonight's full council.
Second.
I have a first and a second to move to tonight's full council. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that is moved to tonight's full council. Item J, T7705, reconfirm transfer between funds, Mr. Matt Miller.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Hannon. This is just a normal thing we do in December of every year, that all the transfers that we made, whether it's to the 101, to another fund, or in some cases it's the 501 to like the 301 fund, it's just something that is per Ohio Revised Code that has to be done every December. So that's just a summary of our transfers.
There's no discussion, I'll make a motion to move this to tonight's full council.
Second.
The first and a second to move,
Do them all?
move to tonight's full council. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that is moved. Makes it easier. Item K, T7706, accept lawsuit settlement, Mr. Knott.
Yes, this is the a settlement of the Enbridge administrative appeal of the denial of a conditional use permit that we discussed in executive session. And my recommendation is that we approve the settlement now before there's any damages incurred.
Thank you, Mr. Knott. Any questions?
There's no further discussion, I'll make a motion to move this to tonight's full council.
Second.
I have a first and a second to move this to tonight's full council. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that is moved. It's been a while since we've had a two-page agenda, I feel like.
It's the last meeting of the year, it always is.
Yeah. Item L, T7707, Vector truck lease, Mr. Matt Miller.
Yeah, this is to, the last council, you approved the purchase of the vehicle, but now we need legislation to approve the financing of the other part. The city is going to put down about $252,000, and then we need to finance $298,831.89. And I noticed that 89 cents is not in there, so I'd like to ask council to amend that total to include the extra 89 cents.
Where will that go?
Can you say where
That'll-
it would go?
I'll make a motion to amend the title of the legislation to read amount $550,831.39.
89
Or
cents.
89 cents, I'm sorry.
No problem.
I will also, in that motion, include the third whereas to read the same amount, as well as section 2 to read the same amount. That's my motion.
Second.
I have a first and a second to amend, to make the amendment reflecting what Mr. Ring just said. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. That is amended. And then any discussion on that item? Ms. Glenn?
Thank you. I just want to clarify, so the difference between the $550,000 and the $514,000 that we previously approved is just interest payment, is that right? Okay.
Yeah, over 5 years.
Okay, thank you.
No further discussion, I'll make a motion to move this to tonight's full council.
Second.
First and second to move to tonight's full council. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that is moved. Item M, T7708, accept Civil Service Commission rules and regulations. Ms. Lockhart Reese.
You should have received an updated packet on your desktop from Bridget. That is the most recent updated copy of the Civil Service proposed rules. The Civil Service Commission had several work sessions that we sat down and went through the rules one by one. The rules hadn't been updated since 2018, and they're satisfied with the way the current rules read, and we just, by charter, have to present to City Council. Once we get their approval, then I think it said 10 days or something, they would go into effect.
Mr. Knott?
What was sent to you were substitute exhibits. I'm not sure if you're going to need to have a motion to put them in place of the others. There were some corrections that were made to both of them.
So the separate exhibit we have?
Yeah, I did not make copies because it's over 100 pages between the
Yeah.
two. It's here to look at. Also, the changes that were made were not of a substantive nature. They were just mostly typographical and making it consistent.
The he,
with
she,
the-
his,
with
her.
the gender, male and female, and things like that. I gave you, the original copies were electronic for
Yeah.
the very same reason as I'm killing a lot of trees. So,
Well, this is easy then. I'll make a motion to substitute
correct it.
this ordinance with the updated amended version, which is what, Exhibit B?
A and B.
Oh, A and B, substitute versions.
Kind of like we did with the
Yeah.
planning.
Ms. McDaniel seconded.
Wait, I don't-
Second,
wait,
for
wait.
second.
Oh, well,
Motion to.
Chief?
Just so you know, the lateral transfers is in this new rules too. So besides just updating and clerical errors, we're like the police department went up that route with lateral transfers as being another method of hiring. So there is a difference from what it used to be, just so you're aware of that.
Perfect. Thank you, Chief. So we had first by Mr. Ring and one of these two.
Lisa
second.
seconded.
Okay. You gave your second up?
She seconded it. Seconded her.
So I have a first and a second to make that amendment. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that has been amended.
There's no additional discussion. I'll make a motion to move this to tonight's full council.
Second.
First and second to move this to tonight's full council. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that is moved. Item N, T7709, cyber insurance. Mr. Matt Miller.
Thank you. This is for our annual cyber coverage. We do not get this through the Ohio plan. This is covered through traveler's insurance. And so it's part of our umbrella of coverage. But I did send an email this afternoon. This item and the next item for comprehensive insurance. We normally do this in January, but speaking with our broker, we decided to try and squeeze this since we have a 12:30 council. That's why kind of the lateness on some of these handouts, but this will help cover the city in case we get cyber attacked. But hopefully that never happens. But you would have gotten an email with the traveler's insurance as well as the updated Ohio plan proposal from the underwriter this afternoon. We can talk about that at the next section.
Mr. Ring, you have
No?
any discussion? I'll entertain a motion to move this to tonight's full council.
So moved.
Second.
I have a first and a second to move this to tonight's full council. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that is moved. Item O, T7710, comprehensive insurance. Mr. Matt Miller.
Yeah, so this is for the 2025 plan year, and obviously we have some changes, like with Floyd North, and we have some of the park storage buildings and things like that we had to add to the schedule. I am requesting, I know we're not really in a floodplain, but the weather's just been weird. I am requesting flood and earthquake coverage. Just, the city's actually never had it before. And with the amount of new buildings we have going up in the city and for about $1,000, I just feel that that's a good call to make. And we would still obviously have a deductible, but I err on the side of a little bit more insurance when I'm handling the insurance for the city.
Any questions, Mr. Lombardo?
So $80 a month? Is that what you're saying? It's
$80 a month.
It's $1,000 a year, or?
Oh, just to add that additional premium for flood,
Yeah.
it would be about $560 a year.
Oh, okay.
So, and then the same for earthquake. And
Oh, okay.
we raise some of our fire trucks. We actually do that more at replacement cost instead of depreciated cost. And so, that way if something were to happen, we wouldn't be on the hook for additional amount. I know you're shaking your head because they cost a lot. And so we are increasing some of our coverage on that. And then just various things have been built around the city.
Mr. Ring?
Thank you, Mr. Hannon. What's the total additional cost from last year? Like, how much more is this
You know
year?
what? It's actually cost about, I think it's about $400.
That's it?
Yeah.
Okay.
We had a lot, our lost premiums were pretty good. Included was the cemetery, even with the cemetery maintenance fire, because that kind of came in at the end. We still were able to keep it pretty similar. But I wanted to add a little bit just to cover for flood, and just the weather's been weird, so.
Very good, thank you.
I'll entertain a motion to move this to tonight's full council.
So moved.
Second.
First and a second to move to tonight's full council. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that is moved. And last but not least, item P, T7711, amend annual appropriations number 13. Mr. Madler.
Yeah, this is just our year-end cleanup for budget adjustments, just a little bit of money here and there, different wage expenses, overtime, but we were able to net that out with some of our expenses that weren't as high for the general fund. And then we also had other significance is, was talked about a few rows up for the city center fence, adding some funds for that out of the capital fund. And then the Shalersville JED remittance, that is something we do twice a year. And so this is just a year-end payment that we need to make. That's a good problem to have, because that means income taxes are up from the JED. Any questions on any of the adjustments?
If there's no further discussion, I'll make a motion to move this to tonight's full council.
Second.
I have a first and a second to move this to tonight's full council. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that is moved. Item 9, announcements. A regular council meeting will immediately follow this.
Motion to adjourn.
First and second to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, we are adjourned.
Yep. Okay.
Who's seconded the adjournment?
Steve.
Ex-President Michigan.
Former.
Former, yeah.
Wasn't that a punk band, the ex-president, the former president?
Dead president.
The ex-presidents, yeah.
He knows. He said it over there.
There was dead presidents.
The dead
Speaking of dead
presidents.
candidates.
I don't want to be one of them yet.
Okay. I'd like to call this regular council meeting of Monday, December 30th to order. Bridget, please call roll.
Mr. Lombardo?
Here.
Mr. Hannon?
Here.
Mr. Mishniak?
Here.
Ms. Glenn?
Here.
Mr. Ring?
Here.
Mrs. McDaniel? Present.
You're gonna suspend
Ms.
the
Wagner?
rules.
I'll make a motion to excuse Miss Wagner.
Second.
First and second to excuse Miss Wagner. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, she is excused.
Mr. Han.
Right.
Are you gonna suspend the rules when we get to 6?
Item 3, disposition of minutes.
Yeah.
Regular council meeting of November 25th, 2024. Organizational meeting of December 9th, 2024. Regular council, December 9th, 2024. And special council, December 16th, 2024.
I'll make a motion to dispose of those minutes.
Second.
First and second to dispose of said minutes. All in favor?
All right.
Any opposed? Hearing none, they are disposed. All right, item 4, citizens' comments. Seeing none. Item 5, reports and communications from department boards and commissioners, or commissions. Chief Reinholz.
Thank you.
He's champing at the bit over there.
Yeah. Captain Novotny really enjoyed his time here at council, the last council meeting. And he said he got out at a reasonable time because there was a long-winded director who wasn't there. I don't know how to take that. I don't know how to take that. We've been very busy. We've had 2 cardiac arrests, one a young man, 32 years old, with the help of the PD, on scene first, doing CPR. The fire department comes, does our CPR, gives our drugs, and then the hospital, and they actually got a pulse back. And that's what we call a chain of survival. Early recognition, CPR prompt, good CPR, followed up by more progressive, our thumper, our Lucas machine, by drugs, making sure the heart can take that beat or actually start again, and then the hospital ER. So we actually had 2 saves, a young man, and then we had an elderly lady that we were able to get a pulse back. We also had what we call the STEMI, the EKG, the squiggly lines. We look at that EKG and depend on what we call a STEMI. And we push all the drugs that they push in the ER. And then we get to the ER, they go to the cath lab. And that's where we went, and they were able to open up the closed coronary arteries, which is very good. I had a fire, unfortunately, not in Streetsboro, mutual aid, on Christmas morning. And we've been very busy holiday season. So winter is starting Wednesday, a lot of snow, so be careful. New Year's Eve, coming home. I don't know if it's going to start Wednesday morning, whatever, but be safe, and I wish everybody Happy New Year.
Thank you. Chief Wayne, anything?
Just real brief, I wanted to just make note that our dispatcher Leanza, I don't know if many of you know her, she's been with the department over 30 years. Mr. Knott put together a proclamation for her. However, she really shies away from crowds and people staring at her and did not want to come in for any kind of recognition. Our department's going to take a huge hit without her. She has kind of been the glue that has held dispatch together since our mayor was a fireman at the department. She has been around forever, knows everything inside and out. She did the retire and then rehire, came back for a while, but has decided to now take a job where she's going to have Monday through Friday with weekends and holidays off down at the court. So Mr. Mishniak will maybe run into her occasionally down there, and they're going to be very lucky to have her down there. And I can't tell you how unlucky and unhappy I am that she's leaving, but I'm very happy that she is going to be happily doing something where she gets weekends off for the first time all the time in 30 years. So that, Happy New Year, as the fire chief said, please be safe, be careful. On New Year's, please have designated drivers, and anybody that's in earshot, please have designated drivers. We've had a few very not sober drivers lately, one of which thought it would be a great idea to have their kids in the car too. So good choices. That's all I got. Thank you.
How stressed is the dispatch department going to be? Are we hiring someone else?
We will be hiring somebody else. It is a process. If you know anybody that's interesting, please send them our way. It is a very special person that can handle dispatch. They are not recognized as first responders by the state, and they 100% are. They deal with just about everything that police and fire deal with, and they don't get the resolutions at the end because they don't get to see the very few times that there's happy endings, but they don't even get to see that. So it is a very tough job. The hours are very unforgiving. It's also very rewarding, but it will be a struggle to find somebody that can handle it. It is multitasking on steroids, with the ability to judge what's an emergency and what's not, and filter everything through phones, radios, people at the window all at the same time, and still take care of everything else they have going on. Their job is it's difficult, but it's a good job, it's a good career if you know anybody that's interested.
Thank you.
You don't fill people like dispatcher Leanne's shoes that easy.
That's going to be impossible.
That is, she is absolute top of the heap. She really truly is, and it's a huge loss.
There's very few people that you can not worry about multitasking and what's going on at the same time, and she is literally one that I have watched her answering stuff on the radio and talking on the phone and giving CPR all at the same time and paging out the squad, and everybody's getting exactly what they need, exactly when they need it, and that ability, dispatchers have it and they get it, but I've never seen anybody in all the departments I've been to for training, working with other units, I've never seen a dispatcher as skilled as she is. So we are definitely taking a hit.
Thank you. And thank her for her years of service with us.
I did want her to come for the proclamation, but she is not a public person at all. She was almost mortified at the thought that I was going to make her come here, so, and I couldn't do it.
No.
I thought maybe I could guilt her into it. I won't make you come to the proclamation if you stay, but it did not work.
Mr. Meidinger?
I have nothing. It's
Did-
been a fun month, but yeah, we're winding down and we're getting ready for next year and our snort along. Put it in next month, hopefully if the weather cooperates.
Good.
Yeah, we're winding down.
Thank you. Anything from you, Ms. Lockhart, Reese? Anything fun in HR?
We got 7 new firefighters, but now we'll need 1 new dispatcher. So it never ends.
Mr. Chaskowski?
I just wanted to wish everyone on council, all the other directors, Happy New Year.
Thank you. Mr. Checkeye?
Thanks, man, you too. I know you're eagerly awaiting for word on Arrowhead. We are still working through some design issues that we found out about. A lot of the water boxes are on private properties. We're figuring out how to deal with that. So it has not fallen by the wayside. It is still an active design process. So just wanted to update you on that. And everything else is at a standstill right now.
Yeah, I thought we were told, well, not told, but I thought the construction schedule showed us being nearly under roof in December for the city hall, and there's not even a wall up. Like, how far behind are we on that?
So we needed to get the pad poured. That was the most important thing. And now we can move forward. Had we have not gotten the pad poured, that timeline would have been extended. So as of right now, the timeline for December of next year.
No.
We're about a month behind.
That's what I mean. We were supposed to be under roof at some point by the end of this December for the construction.
But we started late, and so, but we are not overall on the schedule. We're not behind.
Okay. We're just behind on this part of it.
Correct.
Okay.
But our steel is going to be arriving next week, and then they will start building the skeleton on January 13th.
Very good.
Hopefully get that moving. But getting the pad board was beyond huge.
Sure.
So, yeah.
All right, thank you. Mr. Bill Miller.
Have nothing, but I wish everybody a Happy New Year and safe Happy New Year.
Great. And we heard a lot
But
from you
he's-
tonight.
yeah, I
You got
talked
anything
enough
else?
tonight, yeah. What Bill said. Happy New Year.
All right. Moving on to item 6, introduction of legislation containing a statement of emergency. Mr. Hannon.
I would like to make a motion to suspend the rules. Do I have to say every single one, or can I say?
Yep, you do.
You want me to do the motion?
A couple of them.
You can. You can do it.
I'll do it, yeah, I'll read fast. I'd like to make a motion to suspend the rules for T 7698, 7699, 7700, 7701, 7702, 7703, 7704, 7705, 7706, 7707, 7708, and 7709.
And go to the second page.
Oh, that's right, we got extra pages, as well as T 7710 and 7711. So moved.
Second.
I have a first from Mr. Mishniak and a second from Ms. Glenn to suspend the
It's
rules.
hard when you do this.
and then you sit over there, and then we have to do it, so.
On said statements of emergency, roll call, Ms.
Maybe we want to hear you say them all again.
Restate that one.
Yeah.
Okay, that was one, this one, two. Mr. Mishniak?
Yes.
Ms. Glenn?
Yes.
Mrs. McDaniel?
Yes.
Mr. Lombardo?
Yes.
Mr. Hannon?
Yes.
Mr. Ring?
Yes. The rules have been suspended. All right, item A, T7698, authorized contract with ADP for payroll services. Bridget, can you please read by title?
An ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract without competitive bidding with ADP Inc. for the purchase of payroll processing, human resources software, and time and attendance data collection services for a period of 5 years commencing December 28th, 2024, and declaring an emergency in order to accept a time-sensitive proposal.
Move to adopt the legislation.
Second.
We have First and second to adopt. Bridget, please call roll.
T7698. That was Mishniak and Mr. Lombardo. Mr. Mishniak?
Yes.
Mr. Lombardo?
Yes.
Ms. Glenn?
Yes.
Mr. Hannon?
Yes.
Mrs. McDaniel? Yes. Mr. Ring?
Yes. T7698 now becomes ordinance number 2024-169.
And yes, I did write it on his page this time, because I knew who to do it.
All right, item B, T7699, approved contract with A&S Animal Control. Bridget, please read by title.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract with A&S Animal Control, Inc. without competitive bidding for animal control services for all city departments for a period of 2 years and declaring an emergency in order to maintain continuity of services.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
A first and a second to adopt. Bridget, please call roll.
Mr. Hannon?
Yes.
Mr. Lombardo?
Yes.
Ms. Glenn?
Yes.
Mr. Mishniak?
Yes.
Mrs. McDaniel?
Yes.
Mr. Ring?
Yes. T7699 now becomes ordinance 2024-170. All right, item C, T7700, accept Bureau of Workers' Compensation grant. Bridget, please read by title.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor to accept financial assistance in the form of a safety intervention grant from the Ohio Bureau of Workers' Compensation to reimburse a portion of the city's purchase of a liftgate, power inverter, and 49-inch gloss white cab guard and installation kits as part of the purchase transaction and declaring an emergency in order to expedite the availability of funds.
Move to adopt the legislation.
Second.
You have a first and second to adopt. Bridget, please call roll.
Mr. Mishniak?
Yes.
Mr. Lombardo?
Yes.
Mrs. Glenn?
Yes.
I'm sorry. Mr. Hannon?
Yes.
Mrs. McDaniel?
Yes.
Mr. Ring?
Yes, T7700 now becomes ordinance 2024-169.
Nope.
Or 171, sorry, I was looking at the wrong line. All right, item D, T7701, contract with Teese Brothers Fence for fencing at City Center. Bridget, please read by title.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract after 3 quotes with Teese Brothers Fence to install fencing at the city center for an amount not to exceed $32,520 and declaring an emergency to allow the fencing to be installed at the city center in a timely manner.
Move to adopt the legislation.
Second.
We have a first and second to adopt legislation. Bridget, please call roll.
Mr. Mishniak?
Yes.
Mr. Lombardo?
Yes.
Mr. Hannon?
Yes.
Mrs. McDaniel?
Yes.
Ms. Glenn?
Yes.
Mr. Ring?
Yes, T7701 now becomes ordinance number 2024-172. All right, item E, T7702, authorize 2% increases in employee health insurance contributions. Bridget, please read by title.
An ordinance authorizing 2% increases in employee health insurance contributions to Plan A, C, and D in 2025, 2026, and 2027 due to rising healthcare costs, and declaring an emergency in order to put the first increase in place by January 1, 2025.
Move to adopt the legislation.
I just have a question. Did she just say 2% for each year?
Mhm.
I thought it was 2%.
It is
2%
2% for each year, but the last year's capped for just one of the
Okay.
plans.
All right. Thank you.
Second?
No one yet.
Second.
First Mishniak, second Lombardo. All right, I have a first and second to adopt legislation. Bridget, please call roll.
Mr. Mishniak?
Yes.
Mr. Lombardo?
Yes.
Mr. Hannan?
Yes.
Mrs. McDaniel?
Yes.
Ms. Glenn?
Yes.
Mr. Ring?
Yes. T7702 now becomes ordinance 2024-173. All right, item F, T7703, amend 2024-162, pay ordinance to amend pay range for administrative assistant police chief. Bridget, please read by title.
An ordinance amending ordinance number 2024-162 to amend the pay range for the Administrative Assistant Police Department and making the amendment effective January 1, 2025, and declaring an emergency in order to immediately correct a discrepancy in the pay range for that position.
Motion to adopt?
Second.
First and second to adopt. Bridget, please call roll.
Mr. Lombardo?
Yes.
Ms. Glenn?
Yes.
Mr. Mishniak?
Yes.
Mr. Hannan?
Yes.
Mrs. McDaniel?
Yes.
Mr. Ring?
Yes, T7703 now becomes ordinance 2024-174. All right, item G, T7704, contract with Train for 2 3-year service contracts for community center. Bridget, please read by title.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor and/or his designee to enter into 2 3-year service agreements without competitive bidding with Train US Inc. for maintenance and software service monitoring of the HVAC units located at the Streetsboro Community Center for a total cost not to exceed $31,178 and declaring an emergency to maintain continuity of services.
Move to adopt the legislation.
Second.
I have a first and second to adopt. Bridget, please call roll.
Mr. Mishniak?
Yes.
Mr. Lombardo?
Yes.
Ms. Glenn?
Yes.
Mr. Hannan?
Yes.
Mrs. McDaniel?
Yes.
Mr. Ring?
Yes, T7704 now becomes ordinance 2024-175. Item H, T7705, reconfirm transfer between funds. Bridget, please read by title.
An ordinance authorizing certain transfers and advances of various sums of money during the fiscal year 2024 budget within various funds listed herein, and declaring an emergency to authorize the fund transfers and advances as soon as possible.
Move to adopt the legislation.
Second.
First and second to adopt. Bridget, please call roll.
Mr. Mishniak?
Yes.
Mr. Lombardo?
Yes.
Ms. Glenn?
Yes.
Mr. Hannan?
Yes.
Mrs. McDaniel?
Yes.
Mr. Ring?
Yes, T7705 now becomes ordinance 2024-176. Item I, T7706, accept lawsuit settlement. Bridget, please read by title.
Ooh, keep going. An ordinance authorizing the mayor to execute on behalf of the city of Streetsboro a settlement agreement between the city of Streetsboro, the Streetsboro Planning and Zoning Commission, John Cheskowski Jr., Andre Nova, and the East Ohio Gas Company, DBA Enbridge Gas, Ohio, in connection with the East Ohio Gas Company, DBA Enbridge Gas, Ohio versus City of Streetsboro Planning and Zoning Commission, pending in the Court of Common Pleas for Portage County, Ohio, and to execute all documents and to take action as required under the agreement, and declaring this to be an emergency ordinance in order to expedite the agreement.
Move to adopt the legislation.
Second.
First and second to adopt. Bridget, please call roll.
Mr. Mishniak?
Yes.
Mr. Lombardo?
Yes.
Ms. Glenn?
Yes.
Mr. Hannan?
Yes.
Mrs. McDaniel?
Yes.
Mr. Ring?
Yes, T7706 now becomes ordinance 2024-177. Okay, item J, T7707, Vector truck lease. Bridget, please read by amended title.
Oh, crap.
89 cents.
Yeah. Up here?
And the 550. Yeah.
Right. An ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a 5-year lease purchase contract with Huntington Public Capital Corporation for one sewer equipment of America Model 900 ECO SA SPP truck through Brown Equipment Company without competitive bidding for an amount not to exceed $298,831, amending ordinance number 2024-166 to state a total amount of $831,089, and declaring an emergency in order to purchase the vehicle and put it into service as soon as possible.
Move to adopt the legislation.
Second.
First and second to adopt. Bridget, please call roll.
Mr. Mishniak?
Yes.
Mr. Lombardo?
Yes.
Mr. Hannan?
Yes.
Mrs. McDaniel?
Yes.
Ms. Glenn?
Yes.
Mr. Ring?
Yes. T7707 now becomes ordinance 2024-178.
I can, I'll have it done tomorrow.
All right, item K, T7708, accept Civil Service Commission rules and regulations. Bridget, please read by title.
Okay, so we amended this to substitute the exhibits, so it should be as amended.
No, you can just read this by title.
Okay.
You can just read by title.
An ordinance adopting Streetsboro Civil Service Commission's rules and regulations and declaring an emergency because these rules must be in place before any testing.
Move to adopt the legislation.
Second.
First and second to adopt. Bridget, please call roll.
Mr. Mishniak?
Yes.
Mr. Lombardo?
Yes.
Mrs. McDaniel?
Yes.
Ms. Glenn?
Yes.
Mr. Ring?
Yes. T7708 now becomes ordinance.
Mr. Hannan?
I was gonna say, you didn't say my name.
I'm sorry.
You're fine. Yes.
Okay. Sorry.
I just want to make sure you didn't miss me. Well, you did miss me, but I wanted to
did.
make sure you got my vote.
Now T7708 becomes ordinance 2024-179.
Vote counts. I was kind of like zoning out for a second, but I wanted to make sure,
Well,
I
I was
didn't think I
focused
heard
on
my
not
name.
calling Jen Wagner.
No, you're good.
And you're right above
Jen?
her.
I think I've never seen that.
All right, item HIJKI, we're on, right?
Yes.
Yeah, L. What am I? It's too late.
I know.
T7709, Cyber Insurance 2025. Bridget, please read by title.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract without competitive bidding with Insurance Specialist Group, Inc., DBA Love Insurance Agency for the city's cybersecurity liability insurance for a period of 1 year commencing January 1, 2025, and declaring an emergency in order to maintain continuity of coverage.
Move to adopt the legislation.
Second.
First and second to adopt. Bridget, please call roll.
Mr. Mishniak?
Yes.
Mr. Lombardo?
Yes.
Mrs. McDaniel?
Yes.
Ms. Glenn?
Yes.
Mr. Hannan?
Yes.
Mr. Ring?
Yes. T7709 now becomes ordinance 2024-180. And item M, T7710, Comprehensive Insurance 2025. Bridget, please read by title.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract without competitive bidding with Insurance Specialists Group, Inc., DBA Love Insurance Agency, for the professional services necessary to manage the city's risk management and insurance program, and for the purchase of public entity insurance coverage for a period of 1 year commencing January 1, 2025, and declaring an emergency in order to maintain continuity of coverage.
Move to adopt the legislation.
Second.
First and second to adopt the legislation. Bridget, please call roll.
Mr. Mishniak?
Yes.
Mr. Lombardo?
Yes.
Ms. Glenn?
Yes.
Mr. Hannan?
Yes.
Ms. McDaniel?
Yes.
Mr. Ring?
Yes, T7710 now becomes ordinance 2024-181. Item N, T7711, amend annual appropriations number 13. Bridget, please read by title.
An ordinance amending ordinance number 2023-156, the 2024 annual appropriations ordinance, number 13.
Move to adopt the legislation.
Second, the legislation.
First and second to adopt. Bridget, please read by, or not, please call roll.
It's all
getting too
starting to
late,
run together,
yeah.
huh? Mr. Mishniak?
Yes.
Mr. Lombardo?
Yes.
Ms. Glenn?
Yes.
Mr. Hannon?
Yes.
Mrs. McDaniel?
Yes.
Mr. Ring?
Yes. T7711 now becomes ordinance 2024-182. All right, moving on to first reading, there are none. Second reading, item A, T7686, amend building permit fees. Bridget, please read by title.
Just write this down here real quick. An ordinance amending sections 149.02, 149.03, 149.04, and 149.05 of Title V, Part 1, Administrative Code of the Codified Ordinances relating to building permit fees and declaring an emergency in order to make the fee revisions effective as soon as possible.
Thank you. All right. Third reading, are we ready for this one this time? I know we moved this on, didn't we? The
Yeah.
street dedication of Meadowview phases 15 through 18. Mr. Knott?
The reason that this is delayed at this point is because the homeowners association did the bad thing and brought an attorney into this, and they don't want to sign the documents we normally require them to sign. I contacted their attorney, and said he would get back to me, but it might not be until after the holidays. That's the only thing holding this up.
Okay.
So we can't do it right now?
Nope, so we'll just leave it on third reading. All right, item 10, mayor's reports.
Thank you, Mr. Ring. First off, you guys know, we had a pretty darn busy year this year. We got a lot accomplished, and I want to thank all the directors up and down both sides of the tables for all of the efforts that they have put forth. Every person over there and every person sitting over here and the ones that are missing all played a very significant part in what we've done this year, and it has been there really hasn't been a day of rest, and it's going to keep going on here for another year or so, and then we can probably take a breath. I also want to thank you guys for sharing the vision and approving us to get the projects done and the things that we need to get done. Couldn't do without you because you guys got to vote. So I really do appreciate the cooperation of everybody. But a big thank you to all of you guys and all of you guys that that really put the effort forth. It's a daily thing, and it's sometimes a minutely and hourly thing that they have to do. And I could really not ask for a better crew to do it. They're phenomenal, and I really do appreciate their work. So I look forward to next year. Got a lot of stuff coming up out of the ground, and next year at this time we may be having our first council meeting in our brand new building. So it's kind of something to look forward to. So Happy New Year to all of you. The best to you and yours, and Happy New Year to all of you guys. I really do appreciate everybody. I really honestly do. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, item 11, President of Council's comments. Yes, I'd just like to say, everybody have a happy, safe new year. I'll echo Chief Wayne. Uber exists. Don't drive if you're out having too much fun.
I'll be in bed by this time.
I do also want to thank the administration, mayor, your vision, all the directors. I understand how tirelessly you work. I don't work half as hard as you, and I'm tired at the end of the day. So really is appreciative being up here, knowing that we can reach out to you, all of you, when we need to, if we need to. We get responses. We get answers. If you don't have answers, you always get them. In my line of work, we have a saying that good data equals good decisions. So without having good and accurate data for us to vote on, we can't make those good decisions. So I definitely appreciate everybody and look forward to 2025. That's it. We'll go on to council members' comments. We'll start with Ms. Glenn.
Thank you. I think I'll just reiterate what Justin said, because you guys really are very easy to work with. I appreciate your, when I ask questions, you just basically give me the answers, and I really do appreciate both sides here, you guys, and all you guys over there. And Mayor, appreciate you too. I mean, you know, is that funny? I do appreciate your vision, Mayor. We are getting a lot of things done, like you said, and it's a very exciting time to be a resident of Streetsboro, and Happy New Year to everyone.
Very good. Thank you, Ms. Glenn. Mr. Mishniak.
Oh, just Happy New Year to everyone, and let's just keep it rolling.
Mr. Hannan?
Thank you, Mr. Ring. I'll echo kind of what everybody else has said. You know, I remember last year kind of saying the same thing. We were all looking forward to getting into the community center and all that. Now, you know, this year we get to look forward to being in the city hall next year. I get to look forward to running for reelection. Hopefully I could keep my seat, and hopefully if at this time next year, you know, I can be in the new city hall, that'd be great. I just wanted to give an update, though, on my holiday lighting contest that I put on. We had 35 or about like 35 to 40 people entered, and we had almost 400 people vote. So nice little turnout. So I appreciate everybody for participating in that. We had a couple businesses that donated gift cards to the winners, specifically Blasioli's, Fatty's Apparel, and Slim Chickens. So thank you to those businesses for sponsoring those events. And that's all I have. Thank you. Happy New Year, everyone.
Thank you, Mr. Hannan. Ms. McDaniel.
Just go team. I hope God blesses all of you in 2025, and Happy New Year.
Thank you. Mr. Lombardo.
Thank you. Wow, what a year we had. It was incredible, and we're all part of history here in Streetsboro. We're all going to look back and see what we were a part of. This is incredible. Just like everyone else said, thanks to the directors and the mayor and his administration. I mean, you guys are, and girls are, the backbone of this city. And when you walk in here into this building, people don't realize what's going on behind the scenes. They just think, oh, it's a city hall and people working it every day, and, you know, they're just doing their job. But it's incredible what everyone puts up with on a daily basis. So thank you for that. I look forward to working with all of you again and everyone here on city council. You know, we had a couple rough times, but you always have rough times. And if you don't have rough times, then something's not right. So be safe for the holiday. Use Uber. What is it, 1-800-UBER? Isn't there a phone number you can call?
I don't know.
You don't know the number? All right, well.
Just an app.
All right. There was a number you could call and they would pick you up.
It's a little short.
Hey, you know, some people don't have phones.
Digits in there?
Is it really a 1-800?
Yeah, there's a number you can call. It's like 1-800-UBER or something.
Uber
and
or something, maybe.
Safe
How long you
driving.
gotta wait on hold till they link you up with someone?
Yeah.
So that's all I have. If you need a ride, call me, then I'll pick you up. I don't know.
Thank you, Mr. Lombardo. All right, I'm gonna add an A subsection under this for clerk of council comments.
I just wanted to take this opportunity to wish everybody a Happy New Year and to thank council for having the faith in me to fill in for Caroline. She's doing well. She finishes her last treatment tomorrow, and then she recovers for a few weeks, and then hopefully she'll be back with us. So you're stuck with me till she does come back full-time. And I just wanted to wish everybody a Happy New Year, and it's been fun. Most days. But Happy New Year. And thank you for letting me comment.
Thank you, Ms. Pavlik. All right, item 13, announcements. There will be a safety committee, service committee, and regular council meeting Monday, January 13th, 2025, starting at 7 p.m. City Hall offices will be closed January 1st, 2025 for New Year's Day. I'll add another announcement. My birthday is Sunday, so I do accept cash donations or gifts. Item 14, I'll entertain a motion.
Move to adjourn.
Thank you.
Second.
First and second to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, we are adjourned.
Ethics Commission.
Appreciate it.
Right.